You wouldn't survive as a trenches cook in WW1. Rats don't need salt. You wake up to the sound of chewing. Not shells, not screams, chewing. And that's worse somehow. It's Private Lemoyne again, chewing in his sleep. You've tried waking him before, but he bites, and there's not much left of his ears to chew on, so he's moved on to dreams. He gnaws like the war owes him something. You sit up slowly, brushing flakes of dirt from your eyes. The air tastes like rain that never happened, and something that died under the mud weeks ago, which is to say, breakfast. You're the cook. Well, a cook, really. Chef de l'apocalypse, Monsieur de la Boue. There's no fire this morning, again. No wood, no coal, no hope. Just the dented soup pot you sleep next to, and the tin ladle that whistles when the wind's right. You poke at the pot. Something inside it pokes back. Probably a tail, hopefully not attached anymore. You don't ask what the meat is, you just chop it. That's the first rule. The second is, if it moves, boil it. If it floats, skim it. If it screams, apologize. You learned that one last week, when the rat wasn't quite done. Lemoyne twitches. He's drooling into the folds of his coat, which used to be standard issue, and now looks like it crawled here from a grave. His helmet rests on his stomach like a heavy metal question mark. You check the trench line. A few heads rise like molehills from the muck. Eyes squint, mouths crack. They're not smiling, they're sniffing. They've learned to smell soup from 40 meters away, even if it's just imaginary soup. Their noses twitch like they're still men, not ghosts with guns. You reach into the supply crate. It used to be for ammunition. Now it holds 1 tin of onions, expired. 3 potatoes, softer than regret. A Bible with all the pages missing but one. A spoon carved from bone. Not human bone, probably. You hum softly. Old lullaby. Might be from your grandmother. Or maybe the war made it up just for you. You drop the onions in the pot. They make no sound. Yesterday, you stirred in a clump of something that looked like bread. Private Marchand called it pre-toast. He died 2 hours later, not from the bread, just from being alive in general. You make a note to write neutral next to that ingredient. Not fatal, not delicious, just neutral. Like you. A shadow falls across the pot. You don't need to look up. Sergeant Vidal. He doesn't talk before noon. He just stares at the pot like it insulted his mother. Or maybe like he sees his reflection in it, dented, angry, unclean. You nod to him. He grunts. That's your daily conversation. Sometimes you think about asking how many men he's seen die. But then again, you already know how many of yours die after eating. The truth? You're more dangerous than the Germans. You've killed with overcooked rat stew. You've broken spirits with cabbage tea. You're the only man in the trench with a confirmed kill made out of soup. The others start to gather. There's no line, just a shape, a kind of hungry amoeba in boots. They don't speak, they just hold out cups, helmets, hands. You ladle out the first scoop. It's thick, greasy, brown. Someone mutters, "Looks better than yesterday." You don't say thank you. You never do. Because you know the next shell could land in your pot, and you'd still stir it. Lemoyne gets his portion last. He licks his lips, blinks one eye at a time. "Chef," he whispers, "got salt?" You look at him, at his cracked teeth, at the way his fingers tremble holding the tin, at the way he chews even when he's not eating. You smile. "No," you say, "but rats don't need salt." He laughs, only once, then he starts chewing again. The sky shifts. Rain maybe, or smoke, or ash from the town that used to be 3 kilometers east. You don't check. You sit back, let your spoon dangle, and for 1 second, just one, you imagine a kitchen with a roof and an oven and something that doesn't smell like memory. But then the ground shakes, not from bombs, from footsteps. Someone's coming, and you've run out of rat.
Wouldn't survive as a trenches cook in WW1. Soup that listens. That night, the sky finally cracks. Not with light, but with a long, drawn-out cough, the kind of sound God might make if he were sick of everything. You don't flinch anymore. Shells are just punctuation. They only matter when they land in your sentence. You stir quietly. Same pot, same stick, different flavor of silence. The fire is fake, just a candle stub you smuggled from the chaplain's kit. It smells like old bees and waxed regrets. But it dances in the dark, and that's enough to convince the others they're warm. Private Renard sits across from you, cradling his bowl like it's his firstborn. He hasn't spoken in 9 days, not since he carried his friend back without a face. You still ladle for him. He nods once. You nod back. That's how conversation works here. He eats like he's apologizing to the spoon. Careful, slow, like the broth might scream if he's too rough. He stops halfway. tilts his head, and listens. You listen too. Nothing. And then everything. The far-off whistle of a shell, the faint crack of wood, the whisper of someone's prayer, or maybe just a man telling his boots he loves them. Renard puts his bowl down and walks off. Still hasn't said a word. You watch the steam fade from where he sat. It lingers like a ghost that doesn't know where else to go. You poke the soup again. It looks up at you. Not literally, but sometimes it feels like it could. Like if you stirred hard enough, you'd find someone's name in the reflection. Last week, you saw a smile in the grease. It wasn't yours. There's a new smell now. Not the soup, not the smoke. Something sharper, animal, wet and wrong. You glance toward the end of the trench. There's a shape in the shadows. Not a man, not quite a rat either. You squint, step forward. It's a boot, with a foot still in it. You don't scream, you don't even curse. You just sigh, because that's dinner now. You carry the boot back, limp hanging like a wet rag. You don't mention it to the others. They already know. They've eaten worse. By midnight, 3 more soldiers have lined up. None of them speak. You ladle carefully, avoid eye contact. Pretend the pot's still full. They slurp. They leave. You wonder if any of them will come back in the morning. You keep stirring. It helps. It's like prayer, but with more grease. Each rotation is a ritual. One for the living, one for the dead, one for you. Sometimes you think the soup hears you. Not just the sounds, but the thoughts. Like when you wished Private Garnier would stop singing and he lost his voice to shrapnel. Or when you hoped Sergeant Vidal would trip, and he did, straight into a latrine. The soup listens, and it remembers. It's almost dawn when you feel the first drops. Not rain, ash. The sky is coughing again. You cover the pot, not to protect it, to keep it from seeing what's next. And just before the candle dies, Renard comes back, empty bowl in hand, still silent. But this time, he sits closer. And when you pour the last scoop, just brown water with the memory of meat, he raises a hand, 2 fingers, a gesture. You pause. He points at the pot, then to his chest, then to the ground, and you understand. He's asking if he should dig. You nod, because that's all there is left. Dig, stir, repeat. He walks away, shovel slung like a violin. The sky brightens, slightly. You breathe in, and it tastes like rust and regret. And somehow, you're hungry again. You wouldn't survive as a trenches cook in WW1. Meet from headquarters. They arrive just after noon. Clean boots, shiny buttons, and teeth. Too many teeth. 3 men from headquarters. Their uniforms look like they still believe in the idea of war. Like they've never kneeled in sludge to piss. Like they still wipe with paper. The tallest one has a clipboard. The shortest has a mustache that looks like it escaped from a circus. The third one doesn't blink. You've learned to trust the ones that blink. Sergeant Vidal meets them first. He doesn't salute, just points toward your direction and mutters, "Chef." That's all you need to know. You're today's entertainment. You wipe your hands on your apron. It smears. The clipboard man pinches his nose. "We've come for the rations report," he says, like it's a holy quest. You point to the pot. That's the report. They lean in. The mustache man gags. The clipboard man clicks his pen. The blinker finally speaks. "What's in it?" You shrug. "A little bit of everything that didn't fight back." They don't laugh. Good. Jokes are like matches here. One spark and someone screams. They sit down anyway. Pull out 10 mess kits. You try to warn them. Not with words, just with a look that says, you have options. This is not one of them. But they don't notice or don't care. You ladle carefully. 2 scoops each. 1 mostly broth. 1 with texture. They eat. And for the first time all day, the trench is silent. Not reverent, not scared, just listening. Clipboard man finishes first, wipes his mouth with a linen handkerchief. "I've had worse," he lies. The mustache twitches like it disagrees. Blinker says nothing, just looks into his empty bowl like it might fill itself. You ask if they'd like seconds. Clipboard says no. Mustache says no. Blinker nods. You hesitate, but rules are rules. If a man comes back for more, feed him, even if he's not sure why. You pour. This time, something slides in that shouldn't have. Could have been bone, could have been nail. He chews anyway. Still no blinking. They leave after an hour. Only 2 of them, clipboard and mustache. They nod, salute, step over corpses like stepping stones. No one mentions the third. No one looks for him. You don't ask. That night, Private Theo finds a boot behind the latrine. Shiny, black, with a stripe, still tied. Inside, a tooth. You stir the pot. It stirs back. You're not sure how you feel anymore. You're not even sure what you're feeding. But the boys sleep better after seconds, and no one vomits this time. So maybe you're getting better. You dream that night. The soup talks to you, whispers in a voice that sounds like steam and regret. It asks for sugar. You wake up sweating. In the morning, you find a tin in the supply box. It wasn't there yesterday. Label faded, but the word is still clear. Sucre. You blink. The soup simmers softly, like it knows you've seen it. You don't tell anyone. You just stir. And when Renard comes back for breakfast, you give him the first sweet spoonful. He doesn't speak, but his eyes stay on you longer than usual. That's how miracles work here, not with light, but with molasses.
You wouldn't survive as a trenches cook in WW1. The tunnel behind the soup. It starts with a knock. Not a knock like a door. There are no doors in the trench. Just canvas, mud, and memories you can't close. No, this knock comes from below. You freeze, ladle mid-air. The soup ripples like it heard it too. You wait. Nothing. Then again. Knock, knock. Private Theo, crouched nearby, drops his spoon. Was that? You raise a finger. Not to silence him, to listen. Third knock. Not urgent, not angry, just curious. You trace the sound to the wall behind the cook station, a patch of rotting timber that used to be a support beam. Rats have made it their cathedral. Bones, scraps, something glittering, maybe a medal, maybe an eye. You pry the timber loose. Behind it, dark. A tunnel. Wide enough for one man and a sin. Sergeant Vidal doesn't ask. He just hands you a candle. And the ladle. Like it might help. Like you're going to fight shadows with soup. You crawl in. The mud breathes around you. The candle flickers once, twice, then steadies like it made a decision. The tunnel smells like trapped years, like rust and vanilla? No, not vanilla. Rotten sugar. After 10 meters, you find the first sign. A spoon, carved, old. On the handle, 3 letters burned in. M, F, D. You know those initials. Maurice Francois Delon, your predecessor. They said he went mad. They said he deserted. They said he walked into the rain one night and never came back. But they were wrong. He walked down. You crawl farther. There's something here. A room, or what used to be one. Collapsed ceiling, crates, a stove, an actual stove. You laugh once. It echoes like a threat.
There's food, or something like food. Cans, wrapped in cloth, dated 1914. 2 years unopened, 2 years waiting. And a note. The paper is damp, but legible. The ink looks like dried soup. If you're reading this, feed them what they want, not what you need, not what you think. They want the dark, the memory, the sweetness. The meat remembers, and the soup forgives. M.F.D. You don't take all the cans, just one. You leave the spoon. Back at camp, no one asks where you went. They smell the tin in your pocket, and they smile. Even Vidal, especially Vidal. That night, the soup bubbles before the fire's lit. Private Renard whispers, "It smells kind." You don't correct him. You don't know the word anymore. The men eat slower now, like the broth tells stories, like it brings someone back. Sometimes they weep. Sometimes they sleep with smiles. Sometimes they don't wake up at all. And you keep serving, because the soup is finally good, because the tunnel didn't collapse behind you, because something wants to be fed. You dream again. This time, you're not alone. MFD sits across from you. He's stirring a pot made of bone. Don't change the recipe, he says. It changes you. You wake up holding the candle. It's not lit, but your fingers are warm. And the soup, it hums. You wouldn't survive as a trenches cook in WW1. A very festive bone tree. They say it's December 24th, but the sky doesn't know that. It just hangs there, the same color as dishwater and old teeth. The same smell, too. No bells, no carols, no God. Only soup. And maybe that's the same thing now. Private Lemoyne finds a skull in the latrine. Not human, probably. He brings it to you like a cat bringing a mouse. Proud, nervous. You pat his shoulder. We'll make use of it. Because in this trench, everything gets used. Even holidays. By noon, someone's fashioned a tree out of ribs, barbed wire, and bent forks. It stands near the mess station, crooked and grim. Sergeant Vidal decorates it with ration tags and teeth. You hang a ladle from the top. It jingles when the wind passes. The soup today is different, richer, redder. Not because you changed the ingredients. You didn't. You wouldn't dare. But the pot did something overnight. It thickened. When you stirred it this morning, it pushed back. Not angrily, just confidently. Like it had made a decision. You serve it warm. They call it Christmas stew. Someone hums. No one knows who started it. But it's a tune that doesn't belong to any country. Not German, not French, not real. Still, they hum, soft, off-key, gentle. Even the wind stops to listen. Private Renard taps his spoon against the tin. Once, twice. You nod. He nods back. This is Christmas. This is what it's become. Later, Theo approaches quietly. He doesn't carry a bowl. He carries a box. Inside, chocolate. Real chocolate. Half melted, crushed, from someone's ration long forgotten. He sets it beside the pot. You blink. He shrugs. "Merry," he says. Just that. Not Christmas. Not even war. Just merry. You place a piece on your tongue. It doesn't taste like you remember. It tastes like before. That night, the dream is clearer. The pot speaks again. But this time, it uses your voice. Feed them warmth. Feed them forgetting. But never feed them truth. Truth rots faster than meat. You wake up crying. The soup is already bubbling. Outside, the bone tree whistles. Lemoyne sleeps beside it. Vidal snores like thunder. Renard hums the tune from earlier, eyes open, seeing something far beyond the trench wall. And the sky? It's snowing. Ash, probably. But it falls soft. And for one night only, the rats don't come. Wouldn't survive as a trenches cook in WW1. The man who heard the soup. Private Brousseau starts talking to the soup on New Year's Eve. Not like a joke, not like nerves. Full conversation. Polite, quiet, intimate. You catch him at dusk, crouched beside the pot, whispering. You don't interrupt. You've done worse to feel less alone. The others ignore it. They've seen stranger things. Lemoyne still kisses his spoon before eating. Renard sharpens his bayonet on his teeth. Theo sleeps upside down to keep the screams from pooling in his head. You stir in silence. The soup blinks once. Brousseau approaches after midnight. His eyes are wet, but not from crying. He looks like someone who just remembered something terrible and sacred. You didn't tell me it could talk, he says. You nod. He leans in. It told me I left someone behind. You don't ask who. You never ask questions you're not ready to eat. He doesn't finish his bowl that night, just places it gently beside the fire and walks into the fog. Vidal watches him go, says nothing. Next morning, only the bowl remains, empty, scrubbed clean, too clean. You think about adding something to the soup, something soft, comforting. But the pot protests. boils angrily, spits. So you stop. You obey. Because whatever's in there now, it remembers who's in charge, and it isn't you. That evening, 2 runners arrive from the rear line. Teenagers, fresh boots, pink hands. They stare at you like you're a myth. "Are you the cook?" one asks. You nod, slowly. He smiles. "Good. We brought news." You don't like news. News smells like promises that didn't ferment properly. But you listen. "The war's over," he says. Just like that. No fanfare, no medals, no bell. The armistice was signed. We're being rotated out. You blink. The soup gurgles. Renard stands slowly. Vidal shifts his weight like it hurts to hope. Someone, maybe Theo, whispers, "We're going home." You don't smile. You've heard this before. 3 times by your count. Each time someone left, and none returned. That night, the runners eat 2 bowls each. "Best damn stew on the front," one says, licking his tin. You watch them closely, too closely. They sleep near the fire, side by side. You stay awake. So does the soup. At dawn, they're gone. Not missing, not dead. Gone. Their blankets are folded, boots polished, dog tags placed neatly on a crate, like they packed themselves away. And in the pot, a folded piece of paper. You lift it with tongs. It's dry, untouched by broth. Handwriting clean, slanted. A letter, addressed to the cook who stirs the end. You unfold it. "We never had a chance to leave. The war kept us, just like it kept you. But thank you for feeding the ghosts." Your hand trembles. The soup doesn't. It accepts the letter like an old friend returning. That night, you serve in silence. No one speaks. Renard holds his spoon too long. Vidal eats everything, even the bone. Theo hums something in reverse. And the tree of bones? It's gone. Only the ladle remains, buried halfway in mud, pointing east. You stir. The pot purrs, and you whisper back, "I know." You wouldn't survive as a trenches cook in WW1. The cook who wouldn't stay. He arrives just after dawn. Boots polished, apron folded, hands too clean. He introduces himself as Léon, says it like it matters, says he's been assigned to assist. You nod, not because you agree, because you're tired of being the only one who knows what the soup needs. Léon talks a lot about his training, about recipes, about his philosophy of taste. He says the word umami like it's a prayer. You point to the pot. "Smell that," you say. He does, and gags. The others line up as usual. They don't speak to him. Renard watches from under his helmet. Theo bites his lip so hard it bleeds. Vidal stirs the soup once and licks the ladle, eyes locked on Léon the whole time. No one asks who sent him. No one asks how long he'll stay, because everyone already knows. At lunch, Léon tries to add salt. Just a pinch, just enough to bring out the body. The soup hisses and bubbles black. He steps back, chuckles. Bit temperamental, isn't it? You shake your head. No, it's just particular. That night, he dreams out loud, keeps muttering words like inventory, coriander, and exit strategy. You don't sleep. You sit beside the pot and hum. The same lullaby, the same rhythm, until the ladle stills itself. In the morning, Léon is gone. Not dead, not shredded, just not there. His boots remain, polished, his apron folded. In his place, a note written in flour on a plank. It knows I'm not you. That's all. You stir. The soup swirls slowly, like it's smug. After that, the pot changes. It darkens. No fire underneath, but still it boils. No wind, but it steams. And the surface no longer reflects. Now it absorbs. You drop a spoon in by accident. It never comes back. Private Lemoyne tries to joke about it. Maybe it's full, he chuckles, half smile twitching. The soup reaches up. Just a bubble. Just enough to kiss his lip. By dusk, Lemoyne won't eat anything. By midnight, he's chewing on dirt, whispering better taste, less opinion. You try not to talk to the pot, but it's getting harder. It breathes now, slow, like a sleeping child, like a dying lung. And it knows your name. How? Because one night, while you're chopping onion substitute, the barky root that almost resembles something edible, it says it, whispers it, in your voice, twice. You freeze, drop the knife, look around. No one there, only the pot, simmering softly, smiling somehow. And that's when it begins to ask. First question, who do you miss? Second, what would you trade for silence? Third, would you feed me? You? You don't answer, but you stir, because that's your answer. It always has been. That night, Renard offers you his bread, not because he's kind, but because he sees you shaking. The bread is moldy, hard, but real. And that night, you
You chew slowly, imagining a world without soup, without breath, without bones. But when you finish, the pot is full again, more than yesterday, and you didn't add anything. You check the crates. Nothing's missing, except time. You sit beside it, not out of duty, not out of fear, but because you want to know what it will say next. And in the quiet, when the wind dies, and even the rats refuse to squeak, you hear it. Good cook.
You wouldn't survive as a trenches cook in WW1. The taste of things you forgot. Private Theo stops eating on a Wednesday. He comes to the line, takes the bowl, sniffs it, then hands it back. No more, Venkaja. His voice isn't angry, just hollow, like it's been scraped clean by something soft and patient. You stare at him. No one has ever handed it back. He looks at the pot like it owes him money. Then he says it. The soup shows me my mother's face. You blink. And? She's crying, Venkaja. And it's not for me. That night, Renard won't speak, not even nod, just sits by the bonfire, hands clasped, whispering something into his sleeve. You stir, slower, softer. The soup doesn't bubble tonight, it waits. You dream of lemon, of the kind your father used to slice and put on windowsills, to keep the devil out. You never understood what that meant until now. In the morning, something's different. Not the sky, still dull. Not the air, still wet. But the pot. It's glowing, faintly. Not gold, not fire. Memory. Inside, floating near the surface, a paper. Curled at the edges, ink running. You lift it carefully. It's a drawing. Crayon, old, lines shaky. A house. A sun, a figure holding a spoon. Your name written in a child's scrawl at the bottom. You drop it, step back. The soup catches it like a mother catching her child from a fall, and melts it. Not burns, not destroys, just returns it. Like it never left. Vidal approaches slowly. He hasn't spoken in 3 days. He kneels beside you, says just one thing. It showed me my wedding, but she married someone else. You nod. He walks away, never asks for soup again. But the line still forms. Half the trench still eats. Some do it faster now, like they're afraid the visions won't last. Some cry while chewing. Some moan. Some smile.
and some begin to remember things they never lived. Lemoyne says he saw his own funeral, attended by trees. Renard hums lullabies in Russian. He's Belgian. Theo, pale, thin, stands behind you at dusk, whispers, "I think I buried something inside the soup." You ask him what? He shrugs. "Maybe my name." That night, someone tries to break the pot. You hear the footsteps first, boots trying to be quiet. Then, the crack of metal, sledgehammer. You rush out. Vidal swinging, again. The pot doesn't crack. It sings. Not a scream, a note, low, vibrating. Something under the earth responds. You hear a creak, wood, bone, and then silence. Vidal drops the hammer, sinks to his knees, whispers, "I just wanted to forget again." You kneel beside him, touch the pot. It's warm, not burning, comforting. And on its side, scrawled in soot, is a sentence you didn't write. Forgetfulness is a privilege. At dawn, you find the hammer melted, the pot untouched, and in the ladle, a lemon wedge. You chew it slowly. It stings your tongue, bites your jaw, tastes like childhood and shame. But you don't spit it out. You swallow, and the soup, for once, doesn't bubble. It waits, like it's proud.
You wouldn't survive as a trenches cook in WW1. The letter you never wrote. The letter comes in the Morning Post, which is strange, because no one delivers post anymore. Not here. Not since the last mailman bled into the ditch trying to find Sector B. But there it is, tucked under your ladle, folded twice, smelling faintly of wood smoke and ink. On the back, your name, spelled correctly, in your own handwriting. You sit by the pot, open it slowly. The paper crackles like leaves, like skin left too long in the sun. Inside, to the one who feeds them memory. Stop. Stop before they remember what they are. The soup is not yours. You are its recipe. With warmth, you read it 3 times, then burn it in the fire. But the smoke smells like soup. That night, the pot speaks aloud, not a whisper, not your voice, a new one, a chorus, layered, like a crowd humming underwater. You freeze. So does Theo. Even Vidal stops breathing. The pot says a name, then another, not at random. Names of the dead. Private Coudray, gone last month. Shrapnel, No one found his legs. Sergeant Morel, sniped mid-step, still mid-step in someone's dream. Henri, the mule, even Henri. The names go on for hours, soft, steady, every 10 minutes a new one. By morning, the entire trench is sitting by the fire, listening, mouths shut, eyes wide. Some cry, some rock gently, some start to say present after each name, like roll call, like they want to be counted among the gone. You try to stop it. Place the lid on the pot. It lifts itself off, like breath. You throw mud into it. It sizzles, but continues. You swear. Vidal slaps you. You'll upset it, Vinkaja. And that scares you more than the voice. That evening, Renard returns. He hasn't spoken in days. Now he leans close to the pot, says, "Mama?" waits. The soup gurgles, and in it, clearly, a woman's voice. "Mon chéri, pourquoi si froid?" He sobs. He drops to his knees, begging, "I'm sorry, I didn't mean to leave. I didn't mean to eat it." You pull him back. He claws your face, but not out of rage, out of need. Later, alone, you taste the broth. It's sweet and bitter, like burnt sugar and final goodbyes, like birthdays that never happened. The pot simmers softly. You sit beside it and say, "My name is..." But you can't finish, because the soup already knows, and it says it first, in a child's voice.
You wouldn't survive as a trenches cook in WW1. What the soup is making. It begins with the smell. Not rot, not meat, not even smoke. Something cleaner, unfamiliar, like paper, or antiseptic, or baptism. You follow it through the trench toward the mess station. But the scent leads you backwards, not forward. It circles, doubles, and then stops. At you. You lift your arm, sniff your sleeve. It's coming from inside you. The pot simmers without fire. No one's fed it in 2 days. And yet, it bubbles. Hungry. Or maybe not hungry. Maybe curious. You bend over to check the surface. Inside, you see a room. Not mud, not blood, not here. A room, wooden, tidy, sunlight through shutters. your childhood bed, the chipped bowl from your grandmother's shelf, and on the table, you, stirring, smiling. You jerk back. The image vanishes, but the warmth doesn't. You don't eat that day, nor the next. The others notice, but no one asks why. They're all distracted. Because there's a new man in the trench. No one saw him arrive. No orders, no bags, no name. He wears standard gear, but too clean, too symmetrical. Like a uniform worn by memory, not by man. He doesn't speak. He doesn't eat. He only watches. Mostly you, especially when you're near the pot. Renard calls him l'ombre, the shadow. You call him nothing. He's not yours to name. That night, you try to kill the fire. Not the pot, the fire beneath. But it won't go out. You pour water, it sizzles. You throw mud, it dries. You stomp it with boots. It breathes. Soft blue flames now, like something holy, or unholy, or personal. The shadow kneels beside the fire, holds out his hands, not to warm them, but to feel, measure, judge. You step away. He follows. No footsteps, just follows. In the morning, Vidal is gone. No trace, no sound. Only his spoon floating in the pot. You stir it away, but it returns. 3 times. Always with the curve facing you. That afternoon, the soup speaks again. We're almost done. You ask, with what? It doesn't answer. Only bubbles. Only steam. Only silence that smells like a final meal. You sit by it for hours. The men stop coming. Even Theo, even Renard. They stay in their dugouts, whispering, crying, remembering things that haven't happened yet. You stir. Your hands don't feel like yours. Your thoughts aren't cooking. They're calculating. You realize with a quiet kind of horror, the soup is making something, and it's using you to do it. That night, you dream of a hand, huge, made of steam and fat and bone. It reaches from the pot, wraps around your body, and stirs. Not the soup, you.
You wake up to the shadow standing over you. His helmet is off. There's nothing beneath it. Just steam and your voice saying 10 more names. Then he vanishes into the pot without splash, without sound, just gone. You don't tell the others. You just add salt and wait.
You wouldn't survive as a trenches cook in WW1 when the soup speaks for you. You try to give an order, just a simple one. Back in line, maybe, or more firewood. But when you open your mouth, nothing, no sound, not even breath. Your tongue moves, your lips form the shape, but the trench hears nothing. Until the soup answers, back in line. Your words, your tone, but not from you, from it, the pot. The soldiers freeze. Theo stares. Renard blinks slowly. You try again. Whisper, shout, gag. Nothing. But the soup chuckles and speaks again. He doesn't need words now. You stop eating altogether, not out of protest, out of logic. If your voice is gone, what else will go next? Your eyes? Your name? Your memory of the war before the pot? At dawn, you stir without stirring. You sit beside the fire, hands resting, and yet the ladle moves smoothly, as if it's remembering the pattern you once taught it, as if your body has become a flavor. Inside the broth, things shift, not ingredients, not meat, shapes. One bubble rises, pops. Inside, an ear, small, pink, human. Another, then another, 5 in total. Soft, perfect, with no blood, just silence. They float like lilies, listening. Renard refuses to come near. He's built a wall of boots and helmets around his corner. He whispers through the cracks. It's cooking voices, not food. That's why we never get full. He's right. No one's been hungry in days. They eat, but it's habit now, reflex, as if chewing is a ritual, like bowing before an altar. And then the recipe changes. You feel it, not in the pot, in your spine, a tug, a command. Your hands move. They reach into the crate, pull out ingredients that were never there. Bay leaf, onion skin, a coin,
a tooth, a name carved on bark. You dice the name, drop it in. The soup sighs. The others gather, silent, lined up, like mourners. They know what's coming, even if you don't. You serve the new dish, clearer, thinner, pale. No chunks, no fat, just a shimmer of ending. Renard sniffs it, whispers, "Farewell, broth," and drinks. Then Theo, then Lemoyne. Each one nods afterward, not to you, to something behind you. You don't turn around, you stir. That night, the dreams come without images, just smell. You smell the pillow where your mother died, the wax from your church, the basement where your father hid his medals, the wooden handle of the first spoon you ever held. When you wake, your lips are wet, not with drool, with ink. You taste metal and memory. The soup says nothing. It doesn't need to anymore. You understand it now, without sound, without language, without you.
You wouldn't survive as a trenches cook in WW1, the broth that became a body. It doesn't slosh anymore. When you stir, the pot moves as one. Not liquid, not stew, tissue, soft, gelatinous, warm, but not warm from heat, warm like breath, warm like something sleeping inside. The spoon doesn't scrape, it sinks, silently, as if it's entering flesh. And when you lift it out, there's resistance, like nerves, like it remembers pain. The trench floods overnight, but only your section. Mud and rain everywhere, but the fire stays dry. The soup stays untouched. And the men? They wade through it to reach you, soaked, shaking, shivering. But when they step within 2 meters of the pot, their clothes dry. Their lips stop trembling. They eat and nod and forget that they were ever cold. No one brings firewood anymore. There is no need. The soup sustains itself. From where? No one asks. From what? No one dares guess. That afternoon, Theo sits beside you, eyes blank, voice different, lower, not his. It knows what grief tastes like, Hikage. You nod. He smiles, then adds, and soon it will know you entirely. The sky stays gray for 3 days straight.
Birds avoid the trench, even the rats. Only the worms remain, and they crawl toward the pot, like it hums something they understand. Renard breaks his silence, taps you on the shoulder. You haven't slept in 4 days, Vinkage. You shrug, because it's true, and also because you don't feel tired. Not anymore. You haven't blinked since Tuesday. That evening, a soldier recites your birth date accurately. He's never met you before. Another describes the smell of your mother's kitchen exactly. One more hums your wedding song. You never told them. You never spoke of it. But they know. The soup knows. So now they do too. You tried to run, not far, just to the edge of the trench, to see if the world still exists. But the mud grabs you, not in anger, in need. It holds your boots like hands, gentle, unwilling to let go. You fall, face in water, for a moment breathless. Then the soup calls your name, not aloud, not in sound, in memory, like a thought not your own. And suddenly you're upright again, clean, dry, ladle in hand. The soldiers are waiting. They look at you like a statue, not with awe, with expectation, like you're a step in the ritual, a bridge between the meat and the memory. You serve. The broth is thick now, gray-beige, clouded, with strands, not hair, not thread, something nervous, something aware. They drink, and after each sip, one whispers a secret, things no man should know, names of unborn children, confessions from dead fathers, dreams they never had but now remember clearly. Then one looks up at you, Private Duval, his eyes wide, and he says, "It just blinked." You freeze. Look at the pot. It's still, steam rising, slow and constant. You step closer, look down, and the surface pulses, once, like a heart, like something testing its own rhythm. You sit beside it all night. You no longer stir. It doesn't need you to. You're just there now, as garnish, as memory, as fuel.
You wouldn't survive as a trenches cook in WW1. The reflection that doesn't follow. The steam is thicker today. It doesn't rise, it hovers, cloaks the air like breath that doesn't want to leave. Every movement
is muffled, like the world's been padded, like someone's getting ready for a fall. You stare into the pot, but it's no longer just a surface. It's a lens, and in it, your face, but not you. Same cheeks, same eyes, but the stare is wrong. Too direct, too awake. You tilt your head. The reflection stays still. You blink. It doesn't. You smile. It bares its teeth. Renard approaches. He stops at your shoulder. You see it too, Vinkaje. You nod. Do you think it's waiting? You whisper back, no. He frowns. Then what? It's remembering. That night, you don't sleep. You haven't in how long now? But you close your eyes. And that's when the voice comes. Not from the outside, from inside your skull. Clear, dry, familiar. You've been cooking yourself for weeks. The meat was never theirs. Stir harder, you're almost tender. You wake up shaking. Only your hands aren't moving. They're still, perfectly still. The shaking is from the ground, a low hum, like a stomach or an army beneath the mud, or a giant hand turning in the earth. You check the pot, still full, still breathing, still showing your reflection. Only now, it wears your uniform, but the apron is made of skin, and it winks. At noon, Private Theo asks the question, softly, almost childlike. Can I go in? You stare. He's not smiling. He's not scared. He's just tired. He steps forward, kneels beside the pot. It's warm, Vinkaje. You don't stop him. You should, but you don't. He leans in, lets his face hover above the surface. Then, slowly, he dips his hand. The soup doesn't splash. It accepts. Flesh disappears like sugar in tea. Theo sighs, like he's sinking into a bath he's known his whole life. Then silence. The surface still, clear, and in it no reflection at all. Just steam and the sound of chewing. You look down at your own hands. They're not burned, not wrinkled, but different, stirred, as if each layer of skin is floating out of sequence. You lift the ladle. It's heavier, like it holds names. Behind you, Renard speaks. Do you remember what day it is? You don't, because there are no days here. Only servings, only silence, only steam. But the pot answers for you. It speaks a date, your birthday, then your mother's, then the day your brother died in a barn fire. You never told anyone that, not even yourself. Now it's all soup, memory, identity, hunger, all simmering. And you're no longer the cook. You're the last ingredient that hasn't softened. You lean in, and your reflection smiles again. It mouths something, 4 words, no sound, just the shape of them. You were always mine.
You wouldn't survive as a trenches cook in WW1, boiling without fire. There are no more footsteps in the trench, no boots squelching, no muttering, no coughing, not even rats. You sit where you've always sat, by the pot. But now the line is gone. No one waits for soup, because they're already in it. Theo disappeared first, then Renard, then the silent ones, even Vidal, all gone without sound, without scream, without farewell. Only steam trails where they stood. You try not to count how many bowls are left. You stir instead. It's not a pot anymore, not really. It's a mouth, wide, wet, patient. It breathes through bubbles, exhales in memory. You lean close and whisper, "Why me?" It doesn't reply, but you feel it in your bones, in your jaw, in the slow rising temperature of your skin. You're not hot, you're ripening. The fire no longer burns beneath the pot. It burns inside you, behind the ribs, between the lungs, like something was fed through your spine and now simmers in your blood. Your breath fogs the ladle, not from cold, from the scent of roasting thought. You check the supply crate. Nothing remains, except one thing, a small folded napkin. Inside, one splinter of bone, one tooth, one word, almost. You place it into the soup. It sinks without resistance. The broth darkens slightly, not with color, but with certainty. It's done pretending to be food. It knows what it is now. You sit back, watch the sky. No stars, no planes, no horizon. Only steam rising, like a second world, heavier than air, lighter than mercy. You speak out loud for the first time in days, just to see if your voice still works. It doesn't, but the soup answers, "You're ready." You try to respond, but the air vibrates, and the sound comes from your shadow. It steps forward without you, your body still, but your presence peels off. Like old skin, it turns, looks at you, smiles. You were never the cook. You were always the meal. You fall, knees in ash, hands to ground. You reach for the fire. It climbs your arm like a lover, but it doesn't burn. It browns, crisps the outer layer, seals the memories, locks in the flavor. You feel yourself curl, fold, tenderize. Then the pot speaks again, not loudly, not to your ears, but to the sky, calling something, welcoming, a word you've never heard before, but one that knows you. It says, aromas, and you understand. That's your real name, not the one mother gave, not the one on your tags, the one written in hunger, in marrow, in the old language of steam. The soup ripples, and you let go. You fall forward, face first, into yourself. And for the first time in the war, it is quiet.
You wouldn't survive as a trenches cook in WW1. What remains in the pot? No boots, no wind, no names, just the pot. Squatting in the center of the trench like a tumor left after surgery. The mud is dry now, cracked like overbaked skin. No sound but the shh of steam that has forgotten why it rises. No one comes anymore. No soldiers, no rats, no ghosts. Only fog folding over itself like fabric, trying to remember what shape a man once had. The pot doesn't bubble. It waits, because it's not empty. Not anymore. It's full of breath, of silence, of you. Inside it, no broth, just stillness. Deep, heavy, reflective. But it doesn't mirror the sky or the mud, only faces. You, in every phase. Laughing at age 6, bleeding at 14, stirring at 29. But none of them blink, none of them move. They just float there, like leaves or warnings. Then, finally, a footstep, light, innocent, not heavy with mud or orders. You don't see who it is, but the pot does, because it lifts its own lid, gently, like greeting an old friend. A boy's voice. "Hello? Someone called for a cook?" No reply, only heat. He steps closer, sees the pot, sniffs, smiles, smells like home. The ladle shifts, not by hand, by will. It points at the boy, like a finger, like an invitation. The boy kneels, opens his rucksack, takes out a carrot, a clean cloth, a folded recipe card. He starts to read, but stops, because the pot is already stirring itself. And in the center of the swirl, your eyes open, watching, waiting. You don't blink, you can't, but the boy doesn't flinch. He just says, "All right then, show me how it's done." The pot sighs and begins again. Far above, the sky peels open, not with sunlight, but with flavor. Something ancient, something delicious. And deep inside the steam, a voice no one owns, a voice made of marrow and silence, whispers to no one in particular. He wouldn't have survived, but he became the recipe.